Let's talk about business taxes for LLC. So everything you need to know about filing taxes for an LLC in the United States. Don't you go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it.
One in a million, one in a million, one in a million. You know they're coming up to me, cause I'm just the kind of flower that's stinging from the beat, but the rhythm's getting higher. Go, 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 go. One in a million, one in a million, one in a million, one in a million, one in a million.
Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee, or tea, or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to break down for you everything you need to know about filing taxes for an LLC in this country. So let's first talk about the default tax status. So if you want to pay income taxes for your LLC, the IRS will actually see what kind of structure you have. Are you a single member LLC or are you a multi-member LLC? It really depends. And and sometimes you have differences in terms of have you generated income during the year or nothing at all. So it's really important so as a business owner, you can choose how you want to have your LLC taxed. However, if you are a single member LLC, by default, you will be taxed as a sole proprietorship. In other words, one owner. Or if you are a multi-member LLC, you will be taxed as a partnership. The thing is that you have to elect how you want the IRS to tax you. This is why it's really important. And I'll talk about the election later on. So if you want to file, let's talk about how to file taxes as a single member LLC. If you are the one and only owner of your LLC, in other words, you're a member, one and only member of your LLC, the IRS will treat you as a disregarded entity unless you elect otherwise. So basically, the thing that happens here is that your tax status will look very similar to a sole proprietorship. In other words, the business is not separate from the owner for tax purposes. So any profits or losses pass through to you as the owner. Okay, so to submit and pay taxes as a single member LLC, you will file Schedule C with your personal income tax return. On your Schedule C, you will report the income and expenses from your business. So that amount will then be included as income or loss on your personal tax return. Okay, so here we are speaking about your Form 1040. Very important. There is an exception here though. If your LLC owns rental properties, the information will be included on Part 1 of Schedule E instead of Schedule C. Very important. Now, this tax returns that I'm talking about, they are due by April 15th along with your personal return. So that's for filing as a single member LLC. If you want to file as a multi-member LLC, the default tax status is to treat you, the IRS will treat you as a partnership. So filing can get a little more complicated with the multi-member LLC versus single member LLC. So the LLC will need to fill out a partnership information return Form 1065. It will also need to provide a Schedule K1 to each member of the LLC, which includes each partner's share of income, deductions, and credit. And on your Form 1040, you will include the information from your K1 on Part 2 of Schedule E. And Form 1065 and Schedule K1 are due by March 15th, and reporting that information on your Form 1040 and Schedule E are due by April 15th. So I have explained to you how to file as a single member LLC, as a multi-member LLC. Let's just quickly talk about how to file as a corporation, because even if you are an LLC, you can elect to file as a corporation. Okay, and so this is what we love about LLC. So you do have flexibility with your tax status. You can stick with the default options that I just explained to you, or you can elect to file as a C corporation or an S corporation. This election does not change your legal business structure. It will still operate as an LLC. It just changes how the IRS expects you to file and pay federal income taxes. See, the whole thing about C corporation, S corporation election, it's a federal tax construct. Okay, so how do you actually file as a C corporation? Well, if you want the IRS to tax your LLC as a C corporation, First thing first, you need to complete and submit Form 8832. We have covered that form on another show. So if you're interested, you can send us an email or comment below, or just go into our catalog of videos and look for Form 8832. So you file that first. You'll then file Form 1120 annually for your business tax return. Okay, this is important. So, and I want you to see on the screen here. Here is how Form 8832 looks like. Okay, so you need to file that form with the IRS, and if you make this change, your LLC will be subject to the 21% federal corporate tax rate. You will need to file taxes using Form 1120. This is how it looks like. Okay, you also pay state and local corporate taxes as applicable where your business is located. To opt for S corporation tax status, you need to file Form 2553. You can see on the screen. An S corp is taxed like a pass-through entity, similar to an LLC, with some differences in how salary and distributions from the business are taxed. And to file taxes for an S corporation, you need to submit Form 1120S. U.S. income tax return for an S corporation to the IRS. Okay, and no, one thing I want to say here is that choosing corporate tax status will not affect your LLC from a legal standpoint. Okay, so if we were to talk about how to file as an S corporation, I just explained to you. The only difference here is that you have to file Form 1120S, and the Schedule K1 that you submit to the members of the partners of the corporation are different they're different from the Schedule K1 that you have for 1065. Very important. So when we talk about business taxes for LLC, it's important to understand what we call estimated quarterly tax payments. Now you have to understand, in the United States and many other countries, the tax system that we have here, it operates as a pay-as-you-go tax system. Means what? It means that you have to make income tax payments throughout the year. The IRS does not want you to actually keep the cash and just pay them once at the end of the year. No, they really want to get the cash as we go. And the thing is, if you complete your LLC taxes using the default tax status, in other words, default single member or multi-member LLC, you will need to make estimated income tax payments. And these payments are due 4 different times in the year. So do you have one that is due in April, June, September, and January of the following year? So, and the cool thing is that the IRS makes it a lot easier for all taxpayers, business and individual, to actually make their estimated quarterly tax payments. Remember, we're speaking about estimated. In other words, at the end of the year, there could be a delta, a gap between the estimation and the actuality, the actual numbers. It could be a big or small delta. It really depends. And you can make estimated tax payments using Form 1040-ES or online using the IRS Direct Pay. Okay, and they have another system called the Electronic Federal Tax Payment System, the EFTPS. So this is cool. And but please do not forget to keep track of your payments made, because you will need to report them on your tax return. So this is really important. Now, one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about LLC tax forms and LLC tax deadlines, when it comes to your estimated quarterly tax payments, it really depends. So the exact tax forms you will need to complete your LLC taxes depend on 3 things, only 3 things. Whether your LLC is a single member or multi-member, whether you choose default, in other words, pass-through tax status, or corporate tax status for your LLC, whether your LLC has employees. So those are really very important. And obviously, when we speak about estimated quarterly tax payments, you have to make sure that you got to have a clear understanding of your income or of your revenue, for that matter. Let's talk about the types of taxes. So again, we are speaking about business taxes for LLCs. And so when we speak about types so you have 3 major taxes. So you have LLC self-employment taxes. Remember, members of an LLC, they're not considered employees, which is different from S corporation members. Okay, so S corporation shareholders. And one thing I want to say here is that under the Self-Employment Contributions Act, the SECA, you will still owe Social Security and Medicare taxes to the IRS. So you will pay these taxes directly to the IRS in the form of self-employment taxes. And the total self-employment tax is 15.3%, and it's broken down into several parts. So we have 12.4% Social Security tax on earnings up to $137,700. You have 2.9 Medicare tax on all earnings, and you have a 0.9 Medicare surtax on all earnings above $200,000. So this is cool. So Schedule SE will help you calculate your tax liability and should be attached to your tax return. And this is kind of cool. And one thing I want to say here is that you basically want to make sure that you save enough cash during the year to actually comply with the law and actually take care of your tax obligations. So besides the LLC self-employment tax, you have to also think about LLC payroll taxes, okay? And so LLCs that have employees have to collect and pay payroll taxes. So these taxes include unemployment taxes, Social Security taxes, and Medicare taxes. So this is important. And one thing you need to know is that employers pay unemployment taxes to fund unemployment benefit programs, okay? And employers and employees, they share in the payments of Social Security and Medicare taxes, collectively called FICA. This is important. And so you also have LLC sales taxes. Now, those are not taxes that are borne by the LLC itself. Those are actually cash transfers. In other words, they charge the client and they transfer the cash, they transfer the tax cash to the government. Well, this is important. But again, you have to be very and when we talk about sales taxes, we're speaking about a state fiscal construct. So because you don't have sales taxes at the federal level. I mean, you might have excise taxes, but not sales taxes. Very important. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another session of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We're also having a conversation about business taxes for LLCs, and I want to talk to you now a little bit about state income taxes. You need to understand this video covers, it only covers federal income tax for your LLC. You also need to file state income tax to report your LLC income. You want to check your state requirements for due dates, tax forms required, and any fees. Yeah. That's really important. And you may even need to pay annual fees in some states, and you don't want to miss those. And so, for example, it's very expensive, and this is what we have seen this across the board. We have analyzed all 50 states, and we have seen that it's hands down very expensive to form LLCs, limited liability companies in California. Yeah, because if you really think about it, the state will charge you a minimum annual filing of $800. This is just crazy. And this is just annual fees. If your business earns more than $250,000, your annual filing fee will be higher, okay, up to $11,790. So this is really important, and this is the amount, $11,790. If your company, let's say, earns $5 million or more, okay, so pay attention to the state income taxes. You want to pay attention to a very important tax return due dates for your LLC. So there are many different ways that LLC taxes are paid. And because of this and all of the different tax forms, there are several different due dates. So single member LLC, your Schedule C and Schedule SE are due April 15th. Multi-member LLC, Form 1065 and Schedule K1 are due March 15th. Schedule E and Schedule SE are due they're due April 15th. April 15th. Now for an S corporation, the 1120S and K1s are due March 15th. For a C corporation, you have the 1120 is due April 15th. So those are really important to remember. Now, one thing I want to say here is that if you cannot get your LLC taxes done by those due dates, the IRS is flexible. You can file an extension. Yeah. Now, note that this gives you an extension to file your taxes, but you will still need to pay your taxes by the original due date. Very important. Before we actually, we move up a little more, we want to talk about tax refunds for LLCs. I mean, this is a question that a lot of our viewers have asked, and people wanted to know, can my LLC get a tax refund? And how much, depending on the industry I'm in. Now, once you have filed correctly, what will happen here is that you will not get a refund. No, because aside from a C corporation, all other tax statuses are pass-through entities, meaning the individual pays taxes and receives taxes. Okay, this is really important. And one thing you need to understand is that only C corporations can get a refund. So for any other LLC filing types, the business owner will receive the refund. So yes, you will get your excess tax payments back, but you'll be actually looking at things from a personal point of view, and it's not really sure. This may work in your favor or not. So in terms of a separate tax filing, you have to understand there is a fiscal segregation here. Since an LLC is a business, and so can you really file taxes separately from your personal tax return? The answer is yes or no. It really depends. It depends on your LLC tax structure. Okay, so if you are a single member LLC, a partnership, or an S corporation, these are all through entities. That means what? It means that any profits and losses that you have made will flow directly they'll flow through the tax returns. Okay, but if you are being taxed as a partnership or an S corporation, you need to send in separate returns and include the income and losses of the LLC on your 1040 individual tax return. So this is really important to remember. And if you would like to be taxed as a C corporation, you will still need to complete your tax return separately. Think about that. So you got to invest the time. So one thing you need to understand, that income and losses from the business do not flow through to your individual income tax return. So it's really, really important for you to know that. Unless you actually have set up things as a business, then you are writing things off at the business level and not at the personal level. So this is really important. Obviously, in today's conversation, we are speaking about how to optimize your LLC tax filing season and make sure that you pay as minimal as possible. Let me give you a few pro tips before I actually close today's conversation. One thing I want to say here is that you want to enlist the help of an expert. LLC tax filing can be a challenge, and it never hurts to revisit tax requirements, especially when filing as an LLC for the first time. So by understanding the obligations for your specific tax structure and knowing the deadlines, you can file your taxes with confidence. Okay, and so this is good. And if you are in doubt, please don't try to be a hero or a heroine. You want to talk to a tax professional about your business income, taxable income, and how you pay income tax as an LLC. So they will actually let you know whether or not this is the right strategy. Okay, this is important. And one thing I want to say here is that you want to take advantage of any tax deductions and tax credits your LLC is eligible for. You want to review business tax deadlines in advance and note relevant due dates. Okay, that way you're not really surprised about what's really happening in the industry. And please, you can hire a certified public accountant, an EA, an enrolled agent, or a tax attorney to assist you with tax filing. Again, I just said this before. People think, well, if I hire a CPA, that means I have no idea about my business. You do understand your business, but you're not. If tax filing is not your forte, it's better just that you outsource this part to somebody else. Okay, and now you want to talk to a CPA or a tax professional about the potential benefits of electing corporation's tax status for your LLC. This could be something bad for you, so because you said that you really are you're. So yeah, the thing is, once you talk to the expert, they'll let you know. But please make sure that the expert, the CPA, the EA, the tax attorney that you choose has experience in the specific industry you're in. Okay, because the last thing you want is to actually hire an attorney who has no idea about what you're talking about. You really don't want you want to have that, especially if you're filing LLC taxes for the first time. So those are really, really important. Another thing I want to do before ending into this conversation is that You really need to have accounting software. For your LLC, you got to have accounting software. It can be Xero, it can be Wave, it can be QuickBooks, but you got to have accounting software to automate the whole process. Thank you so much for your attention into this conversation. I was talking to you about business taxes for LLC, and that's why I spoke about the default tax status, the estimated quarterly tax payments, types of taxes, state income taxes, tax return due dates, tax refund due dates, tax refunds for LLCs, separate tax filing, and pro tips. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.